Welcome to another session from Mayah's Legacy. This session is on resilience, and I'm your host, Xina Broderick. I feel honoured to be presenting this session today because, in addition to being a master coach, my family business is a funeral parlour. In the past, I've supported mothers who have had a miscarriage, stillbirth, or have been bereft of their infant child. So it feels really good to be supporting Mayah's legacy in this way today. Everybody will experience adversity and suffering on some level throughout their life. How we respond to those events is a direct result of our resilience. Resilience is defined as the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. That in itself can feel a little blasé. The need for resilience can be born from grief or loss, which feels a lot bigger than misfortune or change. Therefore, the level of resilience required is often deeper and more drawn out. This webinar is about resilience in general and is not specific to being required due to grief. So it should serve you at whatever point you are at in your life and with whatever you are needing to be resilient to. Dr. Ginsburg, a child pediatrician and human development expert, says that there are 7 integral and interrelated components that make up being resilient: competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, and control. Competence comes from having the opportunity to practice dealing with stressful situations in a healthy and sustainable way. This requires being consciously practicing rather than practicing by accident. To build confidence, be aware of the situation being stressful and be aware of your response to that stressful situation. Confidence is the belief in your abilities and it's deeply rooted in one's competence. Again, this is closely related to the requirement to practice those stress coping skills when the opportunity arises, and either consciously or unconsciously knowing that you're competent in those skills. Family and friend connections enhance a strong sense of security. When dealing with challenges, knowing that you have people you can rely on when you need them adds to your ability to bounce back from those challenges. With a strong circle of people that you can count on, you're more likely to turn to reaching out as an option rather than turning to destructive coping mechanisms. And remember, this connection, it goes beyond your inner circle of friends, family, and colleagues and can be extended to professionals. So you can reach out for professional help in your quest to be resilient. People with a strong sense of self and self worth are more likely to stick to their core values when coming through their challenges. So, for example, if a person's character is one of having high moral standards, then they're more likely to make wise choices whilst coming out of the situation that they have found themselves in. Contribution. By contributing to your circles and the wider world around you, you can feel more connected and a part of a community. Knowing that the world is a better place because you're in it can reinforce your confidence when moving forward. Observing how you're coping can be a learning experience in itself. For example, how are you coping? Are you making positive choices when bouncing back? Are you using healthy coping mechanisms? If yes, why? And if not, why not? Know that you are in control of your own actions. Although the situations and circumstances might be out of your control, your responses are very much within your control. You can choose to respond calmly or otherwise. Think about how you can respond in ways that are controlled and relaxed. If controlled and relaxed sounds like an odd combination to you, just think of it like the way you'd comfortably sit upright without slouching or without being tense. Controlled and relaxed. Building resilience is multidimensional. So, as we look at tangible ways for you to build your resilience, we'll be exploring the different approaches you can take, from nurturing yourself to building connections and being consistent. Actively acknowledging and working on these skills means you'll be better prepared for challenging circumstances. Nurturing yourself is paramount, and it's truly the foundation of your total well-being. It can take on many forms, including rest, meditation, prayer, moving, and being mindful. You simply cannot go at 100 miles per hour all the time, and continuing to be on the go puts a person on a crash course for burnout. In order to protect yourself from being burnt out and not able to function when you really, really most need it, you need to protect your downtime and your peace to ensure you are emotionally fit. This means having a reasonable amount of sleep time at night, having consistent breaks throughout the day, and checking into your body to see if it's tired and resting if it is. Even beginners can reap the benefits of meditation, whether it's used to de stress, get better sleep, or start the day right. Meditation is a powerful tool and can bring clarity and reset your mood. Working out how to utilize meditation aids your coping skills. Praying to a religious entity may not be something everyone feels comfortable with, but the act of praying is to release your thoughts, concerns, hopes, and desires. It's a cathartic process. This puts you in a mentally sound place. It's nurturing your connection to yourself instead of burying your thoughts and feelings. Moving. Getting your body moving is good for the soul. It's genuinely one of the most effective habits to build into your daily routine. This doesn't mean you need to go all out and be excessively in gym classes every day and run 10 miles every day. You can just go outside for a walk. No matter the weather, it's brilliant for your mind, body, and soul. You can move with gentle movements like yoga, run up and down the stairs if that's more your thing. But really, moving your body and increasing your levels of serotonin can be a fantastic way of helping you to build and maintain resilience. Be mindful, and I mean mindful, not mindful. Take in the little moments of peace. Sip your tea. Don't rush. Enjoy opening your curtains in the morning and letting the day in. On their own or as a collective, they don't feel like building resilience, but what they do, these mindful moments, is better position you and your mind to be able to stand strong in the face of adversity. Being more self aware takes a little practice, but it's very enlightening. Questions that you need to get into the habit of asking yourself could include: am I happy with how I'm reacting now? Is the way I'm dealing with this helping or hindering my healing process? Does this serve the person I'm trying to be? Your answers to these questions will allow you to reflect and adjust accordingly. Take a moment to sit and think about the situation you could have handled differently. What would you have done differently? What would you have said? How did the way you handle it impact you or those around you? You may find that journaling your day improves your self awareness. In a similar fashion, change your perspective from why me to what is this teaching me? How can I learn from this challenge? Because on the other side of adversity is always something that you have learned that shapes you into the person you are. Mindset. We hear this term all the time, and it's really interesting to note that mindset is all about focus. It's that simple. What do you focus on, for example, when you're in a difficult situation? What would be best to focus on when you're in a difficult situation? Here we have some suggestions on how to reframe your mind and set it up for success. Gratitude, being solutions focused, perspective, and being present. Gratitude, this is not a new school of thought, not at all, but we really can up the ante with our gratitude and start consciously practicing it. Focus on what's going well, the small moments every day. You can say, I'm grateful I made my train this morning. I'm grateful I had time to enjoy my warm cup of coffee. I'm grateful for being well. I'm grateful for how well that meeting went. You can become a solutions focused person. We encounter problems almost daily. Something happens that requires our time and effort to find a solution. Is that annoying? Yes. Is that disappointing? Yes. Should we dwell on it? No. Stop letting problems take up more time and space than they should do. Acknowledge the problem and then find out how to solve it. Start finding solutions for it. The quicker you start the process, the quicker the problem is solved and the smaller the issue is. Becoming a solutions focused person instead of a problems focused person does a hard reset on the brain. It becomes your new normal and actively changes how you receive future challenges and adversity. Perspective is so important in that we recognize that even though the situation may seem overwhelming, it won't last forever. You can take your situation and look at it in the bigger picture. How will you feel about this situation tomorrow, in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, at the end of your life, when you do your life review? How will you feel about this current situation? Will you look at this from a challenge or fear perspective, or from the perspective of someone who's always learning? If you look at it from a learning perspective, you will be able to carry those lessons learned forward and help you even have a more robust resilience practice. Be present. It's easy to let our minds wander and to leave the moment. It's easy to be too busy and not in the moment. However, by doing that, we're missing life. We're missing the small moments every day. We're missing out on happy emotions. We're keeping our brains sat in a place of stress or sadness instead of letting it experience the moments that boost the serotonin and make us feel good. Practice resilience. This might sound odd. How can you give yourself adversity or misfortune in order to be able to practice your resilience? It's not about that. It's about challenging yourself and stepping out of your comfort zone. For example, stop thinking about the type of job you want and start applying for jobs. You might get rejections and it might feel nerve wracking, but the process is about trusting yourself and the work you have done to mentally take on this task without a negative impact. Another way to test your resilience is to set yourself personal challenges, ones that can be built up. For example, cold showers. I do this personally every morning after my hot wash in the shower. I stand in a cold shower. Can you stand in a cold shower for 10 seconds? Yes. Then try 20, then try 30, then try 40, and keep pushing the boundaries of your resilience, knowing that the act of this is also building your resilience up. Consistency. We all know that being consistent is the only way to make something stick. You can't just try for one day and hope that it works. Being consistent in the practices we've talked about adds more layers to your armor. So when you face tests and challenges, you're better equipped to deal with them. You can be consistent by being intentional about your actions, adding in activities like a daily walk or journaling and reflecting on your day, and adding all of that into your routine. You are the only person accountable for your actions and reactions. And so you must hold yourself accountable for your development too. So, we have reflections on resilience as we think back on this webinar. Think very carefully, what are your current coping strategies? Are they good coping strategies? Are they not so good coping strategies? Have you got healthy coping strategies? Do you have people that you can lean on and you're leading them as a coping strategy? Think very carefully about the last situation you were in where you required resilience. It could be a long time ago. It could even be a current situation that you're in and you're facing right now. How did you cope then? How are you coping now? What from this presentation can you take to improve on your coping strategies? Another way of reflecting on this webinar is, what will you do to practice resilience? Will you create rituals, a resilience ritual? Can it be that you make sure you go to bed at a reasonable time every night to make sure you're well rested so that you can face the following day with a sharper mind? Could it include something like making sure that you sit down and relax purposefully, mindfully, at frequent times throughout the day, or just even once during the day? Is there anything else that you can think of that has not been mentioned in this webinar that you might use to practice resilience? We mentioned cold showers as a practice. Maybe there's something that you prefer to do. Maybe it's that you're doing something at the moment and Perhaps you've studied recently and you didn't get through on your qualification and you're having to get back on that study horse, and your practice might involve studying a little bit every single day. What else can you think of that will help you practice resilience? Just give that some thought. And that brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the webinar. I hope that you use the strategies that you've seen here in order to build your resilience in advance of it being needed, because that's the best way to be resilient. Practice the steps before they are actually needed. And then when you're in the situation, you will be resilient on autopilot automatically, because it will become part of who you are. If you would like to keep in touch with me, I would warmly welcome that. I can be found on LinkedIn and on my website, Mother of Abundance, and on Instagram, Mother of Abundance too. Feel free to share this webinar with friends and family who might be going through a tricky patch and just need a quick webinar to show them some resilience tips that they might find useful.